Well, hi guys and girls, Emric and welcome back to the new workshop. Where are we? We've got 3 little brass bits on this mystery project. 3 rings. That one's got 2 threads in it there. This one's got 2 holes here and 2 threads. And this one's the same, it's got 2 holes and 2 threads. So I better make some screws and bits from pretty much a gauge pin to work out which size, and that's 214 thou. It's a pretty good fit there, no wobble. So we need a bit of stock that's 214 thousandths of an inch diameter. If you look at our, not paid promotion because these guys are too dear. If anyone from Interloy is watching this, you're not customer friendly at all. Time to look for another supplier. You could up your game and everyone would buy off you, but right now nobody does because you're much too difficult to deal with. So we've got a bit of silver steel here, which is about, I think it's 6mm, something like that. Yep, 6mm. These need to be 5 or 214 thou, it says. So we'll use that. That's about the closest size I've got rather than buy some more. We need a couple of bushes that look like this, roughly. And they want to be 214. And they need to be a certain distance, and they've got to have a nice sharp polished pointed here at 90 degrees. How long they need to be? Reckon they only want to be 5mm, something like that, 5mm long. Not very big, nice and square though in size, so we can Loctite them in place. This has got to be nice and square here, and if we use a drill we'll end up with a hole that looks something like that, or a spot drill or whatever, and that's not ideal. These need to be a sharp point. So I spent an hour and ground up a little boring bar. It looks something like this. It's got a whole lot of radius on the end, and that's just carbide, an old carbide end mill. So that should be just the thing really. It's been used yesterday, so it's not 1000%, but maybe get a little diamond lap and clean that up. It's got a bit of a sharp point on it. We might just touch that up again before we use it, but it's got a bit of clearance underneath. And it's got a bit of clearance this way, and it's got a bit of clearance this way, so that should be a pretty good boring bar. And hopefully if we set that over at 45 degrees we can use that just to sharpen, just to cut nicely in here like this. That's the theory. Anyway, we've got that sorted. Find a 6mm collet, which is over here in our collet drawer. That's a 60. It's a nice fit on there. So we'll use that. Take the thread protector off. We'll loosen the lock and screw on the back of that chuck. So So we're all ready to go. We can use this side to part off pretty well if we turn this round at 45 degrees. Of course, by now everyone's screaming at me and saying, make a D-bit, make a D-bit. So I've done that. I'm sort of half a mind whether I actually put any clearance on this or not. But I think I probably will. See, we can just see a knife edge there on the front clearance if we have a look at that. There's not very much in it. This machine is amazing. All I found is a piece of split carbide, which I had kicking around. I should do. And I put a little bit of clearance on the back of that, so it's going to cut on this front edge, and it's a nice sharp point. So let's try that out. So in the end, we had a bit of a sort of a reshuffle on this, and had to think about it and come up with a different idea, because putting a 90-degree point in here with a sharp point is one of those almost impossible things. I'm sure it can be done. There's probably, I've seen things done with that particular feature. It's probably done with a rose. Anyway, here we go. It's kind of what I've ended up with. It's a process of getting 6 the same that sort of have sharp corners, and are going to have the same pressure point for each piece. I've ended up doing these in high-speed steel because I can get a much better finish on them. Just measure them, cut them to size, and check them at 195 thou. That's about 201. bit of a polish. Wind this out, take that tool off. We put a 90-degree 8mm spot and drill in. And we'll set this here on a mark, say 10. Slide that up to its touch and then lock it in. Drilling 2mm deep, and we'll do the same with this tiny little drill, which we're going to put in the centre. Or about a third of a turn on the hand wheel, something like that there. This heat's good. We'll take that burr off there. Drop the parting tool in and find the end. Zero this hand wheel here on the compound to 0, and then we'll go one complete turn, which is 2mm, which is also the width of the parting tool, and then another 2, another 4.5, which gives us 5mm. And start cutting that off. Again, polish this up, take the sharp corners and the burrs off. And abrasive stick. Cut him off. So hopefully now we've got 6 of them the same. Certainly got a lot less material because I've made a lot of those. We'll put this away. Put the thread protector back on him. Go and find the 5mm one. We've got 6 little pieces here. With a very similar end on them. I'm going to put these in back to front. Finish the ugly off on the end and give them a clean up. And harden and temper them. So a lot of rejects later, we've got this little assortment of parts. These will be good. I think they're pretty happy with them. I actually changed the design a bit. And instead of going for a sharp point here, I've actually drilled these like this. So there's going to carry the load here somewhere like this, rather than on the point, which doesn't really work particularly well. So these should be good. They're 01, so they should harden up okay. About, let's say, half hour for every inch of thickness at 800 degrees, and we'll quench them out. So we'll fire up the hot shot. And put these in them, where they probably want to wash up first. I might get a cotton bud and a little bit of alcohol and some gloves so they don't get fingerprints on them, and put them in the hot shot. We'll have a look at that and get up to 800, quench them out. It's just methylated spirits is probably as good as anything, I think. I don't know, I could get some alcohol, but if these are clean, and I'll put them one by one in the oven without touching them. Get rid of the cutting oil and stuff off them. So you just see them lined up there nicely. We'll close this. Ramp this up here to 800. And click on our heat enable, click our heat enable on. If we have here, programming mode is off, run is on. So have a look, this should ramp up pretty reasonably quickly to 800. Pair of pliers there ready to go. And we'll let that go. We'll give it 20 minutes at 800 before we quench them out. And next job after that will be to give them a bit of a clean up. Next job after that will be to give them a bit of a clean up. Work out some method of polishing them. Whether actually leave them hard, probably leave them glass hard. I don't think they'll ever break. And rather than temper them, polish them out and install them in the job. So here we go. We're up to 800 and we have been for quite a little while now. We're going to live with that. Have a look in here. There we go. One, two, three. Geez, that's hot. Get them back to 800 before we pull the rest out because they're dropping off pretty quickly. So they're quenched out. Hopefully there's not too much scale or anything on them. Can't see much in there. So I've got 6 little black cone shaped pieces there. These are pretty good finish in here, but they really need a polish, I think. So probably the best thing is just to get like a piece of steel and machine it to 90-degree point and charge it with some valve grinder paste. Stick these back in the collet and just push it in there, keep it fairly moist and keep it cutting in the tail stock and see if we can actually get a bit of a finish on there, I think is the next thing. I haven't really shown this lapping process because it's a long, slow, boring sort of a job, and getting them right is fussy. It requires a bit of attention. So I didn't film a lot of it, but you've sort of got to be spotlessly clean and no more compound left in them, and a nice, reasonable sort of a polish with no marks or machining marks in them. The outside doesn't matter very much. These go in here like this. my trusty tin of Loctite primer's finally dried up. And a bit of Blue Tack's probably best to clean these up. Get the very last out of them. And just one at a time, because this will take 10 minutes to go to tack off. We'll push one in there. Just flush like that. And we'll leave him for a bit. And clean up the next one. There we go, and the second one in. That's the next one in. We'll just sit that one in there. Which is excellent. Put him down somewhere. This one's tacked off, so we can stick the next one in too, once he's had a clean up. And that one fits too. So they're in. I don't think they're going anywhere. Pretty happy with that. Don't know how much of it I actually managed to get on film, but some of it I hope. There's the 4 pivot points done, all hardened polished steel. Pretty pleased with that, and these ones too. A lot of you have sort of guessed what this part of the project is, or this part of the device is. Haven't guessed what it is as a whole yet, so I'm going to keep it a mystery. But that one's done. That one's done, and there's 2 more left over for another part of the project. This part here is ready to go on to the next stage. And that was the best part of a day and a half's work, to be honest. So I spent a fair bit of time on them, got them up and running and going. We've got this little bottle here that it says, have a look, we guarantee an ounce of alloy, not a bottle full. This is a mercury, a quicksilver bottle from the mines. Mine fields in Tasmania, actually. This was found. I found this one. I used that to wash them up, and generally made a heck of a mess. So I've got to go and clean the lathe up and put everything away and start thinking about making the next part, which is 6 little screws to bed in there, and with a slot in the other end to adjust them. And I'm not sure whether they're actually going to stay tight in there, so thinking maybe it's going to end up with a little nylon plug in the bottom here on each side, like a nylock nut, just to thread past and give them some sort of a system where they don't actually come loose, but they screw in from the outside. Not sure yet. Maybe we can make threads and hope that they're really not too bad. And if we get them adjusted, it's probably not a big deal to Loctite them in place, but I think it needs some adjustment afterwards. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Be kind to each other, and more soon.